What happens to working people, to ordinary Americans, during this revolutionary upheaval?
But I think all the incentives point directly to we want to replace workers as much as possible.
Well, don't take my word for it. I'm not an expert on it. Let's hear what the leaders in the industry are saying in their own words.
He said it on multiple occasions. I've seen it in multiple places, so...
AI and robots will replace all jobs.
Right? He's not just saying, like, I think that's what's gonna happen. No, he's actively trying to make that happen because...
Question number 4. What happens to working people, to ordinary Americans, during this revolutionary upheaval? Well, don't take my word for it. I'm not an expert on it. Let's hear what the leaders in the industry are saying in their own words. Not Bernie Sanders. This is what the people who have invested hundreds of billions of dollars in the industry are saying. Elon Musk, who has made massive investments in AI and robotics, recently said, quote, AI and robots will replace all jobs, end quote. Now, is Mr. Musk exaggerating?
Now, a lot of people, contrarian people, are going to say, oh, well, he was taken out of context. He means eventually. It might be 20, 30, 40, 50 years before that happens. You could be right. You could be right. But I think all the incentives point directly to we want to replace workers as much as possible. Again, I think companies are already foaming at the mouth to do so and are already trying to do so. The incentives are clear, right? Even if you take all the conspiracy out of it, just from a profit standpoint, if I can reduce labor, that's much less money that I have to spend, less people that I have to take care of, and less overhead and liability for me. Like, it really doesn't take rocket science. And it's like, if he really had a long-term plan for that, how many fucking robots has he built now? I mean, he's literally like transitioned from being like, focusing on space and cars to being in the AI race. Like, he's transitioned his, like, a huge swath of his focus into AI. So, look, he's the one pushing the Optimus robots. So, just for all the people that think like, he's probably just taking him out of context. He said it on multiple occasions. I've seen it in multiple places. So
what would your kind of observation be on AI and the impact on labor markets and people's jobs and how they should feel about that as they think about this?
Well, I think we are seeing the most disruptive force in history here. We will have for the first time something that is smarter than the smartest human. And that, it's hard to say exactly what that moment is, but there will come a point where no job is needed. You can have a job if you want to have a job, for sort of personal satisfaction, but the AI will be able to do everything. So I don't know if that makes people comfortable or uncomfortable. That's why I say if you wish for a magic genie, that gives you any wishes you want, and there's no limit. You don't have this three wish limit nonsense. You just have many wishes you want. It's both good and bad. One of the challenges in the future will be, how do we find meaning in life?
Look, dude, again, whether he meant it 20, 30, 40 years, that's where he's aiming, right? And it's important to know that. That's what he's aiming at, right? He's not just saying, like, I think that's what's going to happen. No, he's actively trying to make that happen because, at minimum, he's competing with other people that are trying to make it happen, and his competitors are trying to do that. So, yeah, dude. I mean, it's not good. Like, it's not good.
Is he wrong? I don't know. Who has made massive investments in AI and robotics, recently said, quote, AI and robots will replace all jobs.
Robots.
End quote. Now, is Mr. Musk exaggerating? Is he wrong? I don't know. But I think you might want to take a listen to one of the most powerful people on Earth who is investing very heavily in these technologies. Bill Gates, another multi-billionaire investing heavily in AI.
Because people love Bill Gates.
he predicted that humans, quote, won't be needed for most things, end quote.
This is a bit scary. It's completely new territory.
I mean, will we still need humans?
Not for most things. We'll decide.
I mean, hosting a talk show, definitely. You're gonna need, really?
Well, we'll decide, like baseball. We won't want to watch computers play baseball.
That's right. Yeah.
And, so there'll be some things that we reserve for ourselves. But in terms of making things and moving things and growing food, over time, those will be basically solved
Solved.
problems.
Yeah.
And again, even if that's distant in the future, why is that a goal? Why are we trying to replace people? Again, this speaks to the inevitability question you have to ask yourself, right? It's not even about, like, is tech going to advance? It's about in what way are you designing it, crafting it, and pushing it? You could take an augmenting approach. You could take we're going to enrich all people's lives. We're going to augment the capability of all people's lives, right? They could take a much more curated path towards that particular goal. They're selling you that that's what they're doing, but really what they're aiming at is replacing you. Because that's where the money is. Because they're not making any money right now. They're getting crumbs off the subscriptions. They're investing trillions. They're trying to play the long game while looking down, right? I mean, we're going to probably hit this fucking bubble thing. There's going to be huge disruption. People are going to be out of jobs. And it's like, dude, really? Like, that is not the path that has to be taken, dude. They don't have to do that. They're choosing to do that because of the incentive.
Mustafa Suleyman, the CEO of Microsoft AI, the CEO of Microsoft AI,
Co-founder of
said
DeepMind as
most
well, I think.
white-collar work, quote, will be fully automated by an AI within the next 12 to 18 months.
This year, I think there are going to be models that can, achieve that artificial capable intelligence and satisfy the modern Turing test.
What about AGI? How close are we?
I think that we're going to have.
And you said before that thinking about AGI is misleading.
I think that we're going to have a human level performance on most, if not all, professional tasks. So white collar work where you're sitting down at a computer, either being, a lawyer or an accountant or a project manager or a marketing person. Most of those tasks will be fully automated by an AI within the next 12 to 18 months. And we can see this in software engineering. Many software engineers report that they are now using AI assisted coding for the vast majority of their code production, which means that their role shifted now to this meta function of debugging, scrutinizing, of doing the strategic stuff like architecting, of, et cetera, putting things into production. So it's a quite different relationship to the technology. And that's happened in the last 6 months.
End quote. Not 12 to 18 years, 12 to 18 months. That is the CEO of Microsoft AI. Somebody might be a little bit.
What's hilarious about this too is that people are so much on this fucking productivity boom train that like they're not even thinking about like what could potentially replace them in like a few years. Like I find it completely aggravating. Yes, all you other YouTubers and content creators out there, if you're using a fucking AI avatar to replace you, you're a fucking loser. I'm sorry. Like, what worse way to like start erasing your own human importance for productivity? Like, that is so fucking stupid. You you really want the internet to fucking die. Like people want the dead internet theory thing to be fucking real. Like deep fakes aren't enough, right? All this shit, all the AI slop and the shit flooding your fucking like Instagram feed, all the fake shit that you don't know what it is, right? That's gonna be crushing the world with mis and disinformation and completely ruining people's grasp on reality and what is real and what is not, right? People are also choosing to fucking replace themselves to make a couple fucking pennies and increase productivity. Like, I'm sorry, if you're doing that, you're a fucking loser. Right? Think about this. People don't want to think about it. They're excited by the moment and what the fuck they think is like gonna happen in the next year, 2 years. Look at what these people want. What's gonna happen when you have nothing else but fucking YouTube and you're gonna sit there in your fucking office with your little avatar, and then you realize that everybody else can do that too. Everybody else can just flood the internet with bullshit. And what people are going to be looking for is the genuine article, real people. And you're already fucking undercutting yourself by replacing yourself. That shit is so fucking wild to me, dude. Like, come on. You just want to fucking outsource every fucking thing you can, right?
AI. Somebody might be a little bit concerned about that here in Congress. Last week, the Wall Street Journal reported that Jeff Bezos, the fourth richest man alive, who's worth over $200 billion, is seeking to raise $100 billion to purchase factories all over America, okay? One of the richest guys in the world is seeking to raise $100 billion to purchase.
Is he the second largest, first or second largest employer in the United States? Amazon? That's pretty bad. I think I saw a stat, or somebody mentioned, it might have been Tristan Harris, said, I think it took 20% unemployment for the French Revolution to happen. What the fuck do you think people are going to do when they have no money and no jobs and nothing but resentment in their hearts? Now, I don't want this to happen, but what the fuck? Like, what do you think is going to happen, dude? You thought 2020 was bad? Riots were bad then? When people can't eat, that's not a partisan thing. That's an everybody thing. What do you think the consequences are going to be when people are fucking broke, have no job prospects, no training, and nowhere to go? They're gonna fucking, it's social unrest. That's a nice way of putting it. Now, I would very much like to avoid that. But I mean, these people are talking about way more unemployment than that. What do you think is going to happen? Not going to be fucking good, I tell you that much. And as far as I know, the government hasn't co-signed the UBI thing yet, so they're kind of betting on something they have no clue is going to happen.
Maybe somebody here might be raising some concerns about the fact that we are on the beginning of the end of manufacturing jobs in the United States. And from Mr. Bezos, this is not just an idle threat. According to the New York Times, Mr. Bezos plans to fully automate Amazon operations. He owns Amazon. So he wants to fully automate Amazon operations, beginning by replacing at least 600,000 workers with robots. So this is a guy who has a track record. That is what he is doing right now. And he wants to expand that vision all across the country, basically wipe out manufacturing.
Like, I'm not an economist, but like, who's going to buy shit when everybody's broke? Because the last time I checked, we're a consumer economy. We don't make shit here either. So who's buying the products? Like, where, like, let's say people get UBI, right? Like, let's just say, for example, like, let's say you get a check let's say you get a check for like $2,000 a month, each person. I mean, there's people that are like, it's gonna like reduce costs so much. Like, all the prices are just gonna go down, because how could they not? Okay, in a magical world where that occurs at the same time as all the disruption occurs, yeah, maybe you'll be able to really afford a whole lot with $2,000. But if you're getting $2,000, which is basically just welfare, right, which is very interesting for libertarian and conservative types to sort of support, because all these fucking tech guys are like libertarians, right? So it's very interesting when you see people like Elon. He was in an interview where he said, we're gonna have universal high income, and
all the companies coming inside the country.
Just issue people free money.
They're doing that sort of kind of now.
Yeah. But just basically issue checks to everybody.
well, how are we gonna get people to like the government to do that. Well, I don't know how. They're just gonna. What else would they do? And like,
This is not about taxation and redistribution.
No, it's
So how does it work?
This-
Reason through it with me.
listen. By the way, I'm open to ideas here.
Okay.
and so then it's like, oh, okay, well, okay, you get a $2,000 check every month. Well, what the fuck are you gonna do with that? You got rent and all this shit, and people are like, oh, everything's just gonna go down so much. You'll be able to afford plenty, and
Yes, we'll have radical change, social unrest, and immense prosperity.
And you can buy all the Cybertrucks you want.
Things are going to get very cheap.
Yes.
And like, what else would they do? And it's like, well, why universal high income? Well, I don't know. I just kind of think that's what's gonna happen. Like, his fucking intuition is like, okay, that's what's gonna happen, right?
And frankly, if this doesn't happen, we'd go bankrupt as a country. So the national debt is enormous.
Yeah.
The interest on the national debt exceeds not just the military budget, but the military budget, I think, plus Medicare or Medicaid, one of the two. It's like it's like 1 point something trillion.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Of interest.
Yeah. Which is growing.
Yes, and the deficit is growing.
Yes.
But so if we don't have AI and robots, we're all going to go bankrupt, and we're headed for economic doom.
Come on, dude. Come on. Like you, the richest man on earth, are advocating for basically a social welfare program. You want the government, you're advocating for the government to pay people. That's your big plan. That's the best you can come up with. And I'm not totally against UBI in general, like, but it's a band-aid. It's not a sustainable way to live. And as somebody who's kind of like center left myself, like, I don't want to be fucking beholden to the government for all the money that I get. That's fucking crazy.
He wants to fully automate Amazon operations, beginning by replacing at least 600,000 workers with robots. So this is a guy who has a track record. That is what he is doing right now. And he wants to expand that vision all across the country. Basically wipe out manufacturing jobs in America and get rid of millions of workers. Why does he want to do it? Well, the answer is fairly obvious. Because AI and robots will cost employers far less than human labor. Robots work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Robots do not need sick days or health care. They don't take Christmas or New Year's Day off. They will end up costing employers a fraction of what human labor costs. As Dario Amodei, the head of Anthropic, has said, AI, quote, isn't a substitute for specific human jobs, but rather a general labor substitute for humans, end quote.
I think OpenAI's mission statement is something along the lines of, I'm paraphrasing, like, AGI, achieving AGI is, to us, reaching a capability that can replace all economically valuable cognitive capability, or something along those lines, right? So, I mean, or something along those lines. So, I mean, they're telling you in pretty plain language, we're trying to build the thing that can replace you, and we're not necessarily saying we're going to replace you, but like, we're going to make it so we can, and all the incentives point to us doing that. But don't worry, because everybody's going to be able to be a really great entrepreneur or a plumber. Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe. I mean, if that's what you want to bet your fucking chips on.
And according to OpenAI's charter, its mission is to build, quote, highly autonomous systems that outperform humans at most economically valuable work, end of quote. In other words, what these guys are working toward is creating and AI which can do virtually any job better than a human being can do. What are the
Cult of
impacts of that?
AGI.
Well, we
What do I
might
call it?
want to have a discussion about that here in the Congress. As the ranking member of the U.S. Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, I released a number of months ago a well-researched report finding that AI, automation, and robotics could replace nearly 100 million jobs in America over the next decade. 100 million jobs, including 47% of truck drivers, 64% of accountants, and 89% of fast food workers, among many other occupations.
I believe trucking is the #1 employer in the United States, or it's among the top. 100 million jobs. Isn't there only like 360 or 70 million people in the country? What do you think that's gonna do? Right? And again, like the contrarian people will come up with all these reasons as to why that's not going to happen. And look, I don't want to be the doom and gloom guy. I think that AI has tons of utility, and I wish that we were pursuing paths, at least, the frontier companies especially, were pursuing paths to really augment people's capability in a way that is aligned with what is actually good for people and in a rate of change that is good for people. So I'm not trying to be like a full blown Luddite, even though I kind of found myself to be much of a tech cynic lately. Um, but I mean, yeah, dude, where are the incentives pointing? And what do you think is going to happen when that many people are unemployed? What are they going to have to do? Look what happened during COVID, dude. People were going nuts. They were losing their minds. Their businesses were getting decimated. People's relationships were getting ruined. People were getting depressed. It was affecting their mental health. It was affecting their families. That sort of disruption has huge, huge impacts and lingering effects. We're still feeling the effects of COVID in so many ways. Social media is still actively negatively impacting people in so many ways. And that doesn't even mean that it's not giving people good things at the same time either. It's both. What do you think people are going to do when that happens? Well, they're not going to have anything better to do but be pissed. You thought the riots on January 6th and, the BLM protests or what riot protest, whatever you want to call it, you thought that was bad? What happens when you do something that's bad for people of every party across all demographics and people have nothing better to do and they starve? Not going to be good. And I hope that doesn't happen. But yeah, Bernie's right. The government needs to get its fucking act together because these people aren't stopping. And if you don't rein the shit in, it's going to be real, real bad. And again, even if the number is anywhere near that, even if it's a fraction of that, it could still cause huge disruption. So what I would like to ask you to do as the viewer, as the average person, you don't have to feed into all the crazy sci-fi stuff just yet if you don't want to. I hope that you consider them a possibility. But just think about what the real grounded implications of technological advancement of this sort, of a disruptive event, a disruptive technology could do to your life and to the country and the culture of the country, the well-being of people, and how we all live day to day and survive. Why do we want to just let that happen? The politicians aren't moving because we are not aware enough of the issue and advocating against it. Right? So the politicians have no incentive. Bernie Sanders is going out on a limb here, bringing the issue forward. But a lot of politicians are not moving because their constituents are not behind the issue. They don't care about the issue. They don't see it as a big enough problem. And because that is not there, the politicians are not taking action. So we as the general public, you know, whether it affects you at a grounded personal interpersonal way or at the macro sci-fi way, whatever you're worried about, we need to be behind and advocating for regulation, for change, and reining this shit in. What up, y'all? This is Zane the Gambit. Thank you so much for watching this clip on Zane's Zone Unlimited. This is just a clip of a larger video, so if you liked what you saw, please tap the end screen or the video in the description link and watch the full thing. Like, subscribe, comment. I would appreciate it greatly. Thank you so much. I'm out.